How you doing, guys? It's Alessandro here from Spicy Moustache with some new tips in order to help you creating your own green area, indoor or outdoor, following the principle of do as nature does. The weather is warming up and pollinators are finally starting to awake and come back to the garden. However, it's inevitable to attract some sort of pest even in the healthiest garden. But not all pest damage is significant enough to warrant action. The best way to maintain a healthy garden is to educate yourself and learn how to identify common bed bugs in your garden. The sooner a pest is identified, the easier it will be to manage it using earth-friendly methods. So dig up the like button, and today I'll show you all you need to know in order to create your own pest control herbal solution. Every vegetable gardener faces pest issues from time to time. Learning how to manage the little leaf-munching menace without using any sort of synthetic chemical is an essential step in growing a healthy and productive garden. It is commonly believed that farmers are the main users of chemicals to treat their crops. However, homeowners use about 3 times the amount of pesticides as farmers. Each year, approximately 5.6 billion pounds of chemical pesticides are used worldwide. While scrubbing, especially with a fruit and vegetable wash, could remove the majority of pesticides from the surface of fruit and vegetables, it's impossible to remove it all. Some will always remain on the surface, and many pesticides are systemic, which means they will be incorporated into the fruit and vegetable while they're growing. Because of chemical pesticides, there has been a major decline in the bee population in the recent years. If one single honeybee brings contaminated pollen back to the hive, the whole hive might suffer. Also, they affect not only pollinators and pests, but the whole food chain is affected. For example, if a mouse eats an insect that has been treated with persistent pesticides, an owl could eat the mouse, and this owl will absorb some of that pesticides. There are over 1,000 species of pests and pathogens that damages crops. We are used to think that we should study every individual species, understand their biology, how they spread, and how to treat them. This will be almost impossible for the majority of people. The main difference between pathogens and pests is the size. If you keep size in mind, the relation between the two becomes quite clear. In other words, if you make germicide for germs, increase the dosage, and it will be pesticides for pests. One single pesticide acts as a germicide, bactericide, and fungicide. There are many natural ways to control the pests in your garden without using any sort of chemical and altering the natural biodiversity. You don't need any professional knowledge to do natural pest control. Plants and trees have natural repellent properties that they use to keep away many kinds of pests. You just need to observe and look for plants with a strong smell. Most of these plants have repelling or killing properties for many insects. Common plants around you could become really valuable in creating a potent pest repellent solution. I mentioned in another video the great benefits of using nettles and garlic infused in water for at least 3 weeks and sprayed over your plants. Herbs and fruit are also great to create a natural pesticide. You could use lavender as a potent natural pesticide, or chilies, cinnamon, peppermint, and many others. However, I've been reading in Jadam book a really interesting fact about using Jerusalem artichokes. It's a perennial plant that it's easily grown and available all over the world, and other than being food for us, they also have poisonous properties. The name Jerusalem artichokes originates from the misspelled Italian word to describe this plant, called girasole artichoco. Jerusalem artichoke has knobby tuber that looks like ginger root. Tubers could be 3 to 4 inches long and 1 to 3 inches wide. It has white flesh and light brown skin, tinged with red, yellow, or purple on the surface. It is usually called sunchokes and is of the Helianthus genus, which means is a close relative of the sunflower. Jerusalem artichokes, if used in strong concentration, could also kill pests in your garden. The best use for Jerusalem artichokes is by making natural pesticide also called JHS, which stands for Jadam Herb Solution. To make this potent pesticide, you have to cut your sunchokes into pieces and add them to a mesh bag. That could be a muslin or cheesecloth. It is recommended to use a pressure cooker, but even a normal one could potentially work. I'm using 1 kilo of sunchokes cut into pieces and 5 liters of water. If you're using a pressure cooker, you could add just 4 liters of water and that's gonna be enough. Start with high heat, bring it to boil, and then lower it down to medium and maintain boiling temperature. I highly recommend to do this outside if you're using herbs or plants with a strong smell. I did mine outdoor as I wanted to try my new fire pit, and it's a great excuse to later have a BBQ. It will have to boil for at least 5 hours, and you might have to top it up once the amount of water evaporates and lower it down to half the initial size of water that you used. After the 5 hours, once it finished to boil, add the whole mixture to a heat-resistant bottle while still boiling. Just be careful when doing this and use all the necessary protections. Once in the bottle, seal it immediately and store it on its side for later use. By laying it on its side, it keeps the hot liquid in contact with the cap to seal it and sterilize it. If you stand it up, there will be that bubble of air in between the cap and the hot liquid. When using JHS, do not use the sediment, so you could potentially filter it if it's not clear. Use this mixture 100 to 120, starting low. Also, it is really important that you don't apply this mixture on a sunny or bright day, because it will lead to burning of the plant and its ultimate demise. You can make many different kinds of JHS to use in your garden, but it is recommended not to mix different kinds of plants. This means that you should keep your inputs separate, for example, one for sunchokes, one for garlic, or one for chilies, and before applying to the plant, you can mix it in the same water solution. I will make a few more throughout the season to use in the garden using juniper, garlic and lavender. As gardeners, we must each consider the level of pest activity that we're willing to tolerate. So do not panic if you see a few aphids or other pests, as natural predators might as well get rid of them before they start spreading. Inspect your garden regularly to detect problems early. So remember, the sooner a pest is identified, the easier it will be to manage it using earth-friendly methods. I hope you liked today's video, and if so, please subscribe to my channel, turn on the notification settings so you can be notified every time I post a new video. And I'll see you next Friday for a new episode. Thank you so much for watching. See ya!